Good evening, one and all. In today's lecture, we will continue to see the concepts of file handling. In the previous session, we have seen that what is the requirement of file handling concepts to be used with C or C++ programming, the necessity of files, the ease that you get in your programming with files so that you can store your data permanently, and how you can create and open a file using your C programming language. Okay, so in this session, we will be seeing that how we can read the data from a file. Okay, so let's quickly revise the creation and opening of a file, which we have already seen in the last lecture. So you write your void main, you include the header files and all, and to use the file handling concept or to access a particular file, initially you can say it in two steps if you want, by saying capital FILE, that is uppercase file you must write, and then asterisk PTR equal to null. Okay, and why this equal to null we do, that also we will see in the couple of minutes. Okay, you can equate it to null in the beginning, and then what you will do, you will say PTR equal to f open. This is a user defined function. No, it is a built-in function. Built-in means you have to simply call it. It has to not be defined by you. It is already defined in the library stdio.h. You have to simply call this function, and at the time of call you have to pass a parameter which is nothing but the name of the text file and the mode in which you want to open it. Suppose you want to write something in the file or you want to store something in the file, you have to open it in the write mode. But suppose you want to read what is there in the file, then you have to open it in the read mode. R is for read, W is for write. There are different modes that also we have to see. And the name of the file should be given along with the extension. Usually extension is .txt for the text files that can be accessed. And this file, if it already does not exist, then what will happen, it will first be created and then it will be opened by this fopen function, and you will perform certain operation. Maybe you'll read the content of the file, or maybe you will write certain content to the file, and after you perform some operation, you will close the file by passing this pointer name. This pointer is a pointer to the file. Okay, using this statement we can say that the pointer is a pointer to the file with the name myfile.txt, and you have to close this file. How you will close it? Using that pointer itself. You have to write f close, and within the bracket you must pass the parameter as the name of that pointer. Okay, we have seen this. If you don't want to do it in two steps, then what you can do, file asterisk ptr equal to ptr equal to f open my file and mode. Okay, this is in one step you can do it. Okay, or you can do it in two steps. This is similar to what? Similar to saying int asterisk ptr equal to null. And on the next line, you can say ptr equal to ampersand a, where a is an integer variable. Right? These two steps can be combined into one step. How? By writing it this way: asterisk ptr equal to ampersand a. That's what we are doing here, right? Instead of int, we have to write capital FILE. Instead of star ptr, you have to write star ptr only. Equal to sign, and instead of this function call in your normal pointers, what you are doing, ampersand a, but here you have to write function call. Okay, so this we have seen. Now we know how to open a file, we know how to close a file. Now how can we write something in the file, or how we can read something from the file? Okay, so first we'll see the reading operation. So before that, let me give you some analogy regarding the normal programming and programming with files. So in normal programming, what we do, suppose we write, this is our program file, means it is a .c file. Okay, .c file, program file. Here you'll write the code of your program. When you execute this file, when you run your program, what will happen? One output window will come, it will appear. This is your output screen. Then the statement, suppose you're printing something, it will get printed. Then if you have a scanf in between in your program, suppose you have a scanf, then what will happen? You have to read something, or you have to take input from your output window. So first, suppose it prints, then suppose first it will print hello world. And on the next line, there is scanf. Then what will happen? You have to accept something from your output screen. So whatever you enter through your keyboard, suppose you enter the number 4, then 4 will get stored and it will get assigned in your program, right? Means you're taking input from where? From your output window, right? For example, see here this example. Now this is to find the greatest among three numbers. So when I run this program, let me add one sentence over here, one statement. Enter three numbers. Okay, don't pay attention what is this program and all. Just for example, I'm running this program. So first what it is doing, it will print enter three numbers. Then what it is expected that I enter three numbers, right? Means I have to give certain input through my keyboard. Suppose 3, 4, 5. So this 3, 4, 5 is taken from this output window and it will get stored in your program, right? Whenever you run your program. When I click enter, it will get stored in your program in place of A, B, and C. So from where you took the input? From this window, right? Similarly, in file handling, what we will do, we will not take output from the window. We will take the input from the file. Okay, we'll take the input from the file. Means what is happening? Whenever you write scanf, you will take something from the file. You will not take it from the output window, right? From this output window, you will not give anything. From where it will take then? It will take from the file. For example, if in your file something is written, okay, Rajgarh is a fort, then what will happen when scanf is executed? The input will be taken as Rajgarh is a fort. From this file, you will take the content of the file as your input, right? Have you understood from where we have to take input when we are reading a file? Yes?
Yes.
Others? Or should I repeat?
Yes.
Understood, right? Anyone wants me to repeat, you can tell me. Okay. Yes? Okay, so we are taking the input from the file. You're not taking the input from your output window. From this, you're not taking. From where you'll take input? You'll take the input from the file. Whatever is written in the file, that will be your input. Okay, so this is called as file reading or file input operation. Okay, so when you come across the words read, if you come across the word input, it means that in case of file handling, what you're doing, you're reading the content of the file. Okay, read or input, if you come across these words in file handling, means you're taking the input from the file, you're reading the file. Okay, so now how this can be done in our programming, how we can access the content of a file is our goal to study for today. So basically there are 4 to 5 ways you can do it. Okay, there are just some variations you have to make and you will be able to do it in 4 to 5 ways. So now what I have done in this program, I've already written it to save time. What I've done, I've created a pointer to the file, initialized it to null. Okay, normal practice. Then what I have to do, I will check whether the opening of the file is successful or not. See, sometimes what happens due to some memory leak, or if there is some system error, or due to some other conditions, you may not be able to open the file. Okay, so one possibility is what? One possibility is you want to access the file, but file is absent, or you can say that file does not exist, right? If you're accessing the file, but the file itself is not present, then what will happen? First the file will be created and then it will be opened. But due to some reasons, it is not possible to create the file. Maybe there is insufficient storage. That can also be a reason. So file will not be created. So then you cannot proceed further in your program, right? If you want to read a file, first you have to open the file. And if you want to open the file, first the file should be in existence. So first operation is create the file. Second operation, open the file. Third operation is read the file. So if the file itself is not there, you cannot read the file. So we have to first check this condition, whether the file creation is successful or not. Okay, first we have to check whether the creation of the file is successfully done or not. So to check that, we have to write some code. And after that, if it is successfully created, we can read the file, right? So One condition is file is absent, okay, so you have to create it. File does not exist, okay, you have to create it. But sometimes another case is file exists, file exists, but still it cannot be opened. What is this case? File is present, file exists, file is present, but we cannot open it. Okay, so all these cases must be handled. I hope you have got these cases. Now, how we will check whether the file has been created successfully or not. So initially, the ptr is equal to fopen function. You have passed the name of your file which you want to create, and you have opened it in read mode. That is what we have to do, right? We have to read the content of the file. So what you'll do, the checking condition is ptr equal to null. See, if the file creation is not successful, then this original initialization will be considered. So initially ptr is equal to null. By chance, suppose you are not able to create the file, then ptr will remain as null only, right? But suppose you are able to create the file, ptr will not be equal to null. Okay, so that we have to check. If ptr is equal to null, means file creation failed, so return 0. But if ptr is not equal to null, else condition will get executed, return 1. Okay, this is the way you have to check whether the file creation is successful, whether the file is open or not. If ptr is null, means file creation fails. If it is not null, then it is opened and you can proceed further. You can read the content or write the content. So that is why we initialize it to null in the beginning. And then if it remains null, means file creation fails. Okay, have you understood how to check whether the file is open or not?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. So this you have to do every time. Maybe you want to read, write, append, whatever operation you want to perform, you have to always check whether the file is open or not. Now we can proceed further. Now instead of writing this if else, another way is what? You can do it this way. Alternative method. You want to do ptr equal to null. If this condition is true, return 1. Otherwise return 0. Right? Within the return I've written this. So within one line of code, within line number 17, I've written the whole thing. No need of this if else. Okay, whatever you prefer you can do. This is just an alternative which I'm highlighting. Okay. And instead of ptr equal to null, you can simply say if ptr also. Okay, I've shown you this before. But if you want to go the easy way, ptr equal to null, you can have this one. Now in my main, what I've done, there are different options while reading. There are different ways in which I can read my file. One is reading a single character to, okay. Another thing is reading all the characters in the file. See, the content of your file is always a character. So here in this case, what is written, Rajgarh is a fort. Then there may be equation like x plus 12 is equal to 13. Okay, here 12 and 13 you may say is integer, but no, in the file it is stored as a string or as a character, right? It is a character, and collection of characters forms the string, which is nothing but the content of the file. Each letter that you can see here or anything what is in the file, it is a character, and the characters as a whole forms the string of the file. Okay, means the content of a file is basically character by character, the content will be stored in the file. Okay, character by character, content will get stored in the file. So maybe you can read a single character, maybe you can read all the characters one by one, or maybe you will read all the characters together. These are the ways of reading. Maybe you can read one character only. Maybe you can read all the characters but one by one, or maybe you can read all the characters within one shot together. Okay, so these three cases we have to see now, the ways of reading the file. So I've written it using a switch case. Okay, so the whole program and we'll see by the end of this session, but for now you see the case 1. What is case 1? Reading a single character. Okay, so what I've done here, I have declared char c. Okay, I've declared a character variable c. Then what I'm doing, I'm using a built-in function fgetc. Fgetc means f stands for file, get means to obtain or read, and c means character. Okay, I'll write it down. F get c. What this will do, f stands for file, get means to read the file, and c stands for character, means from the file you want to read a character. This is the simple meaning of this built-in function. Okay, it is a built-in function. I have not defined it, it is already defined, I'm only calling it. So read a character from a file means f get c. So whatever this f get c function is there, it will return or it will access the first character in my file, and that first character will get stored in this c character variable, and then I can print that character. Right? If you don't want to store it in a variable c, you can directly write over here f get c, and you can pass the file pointer name ptr. Okay, either use this function call and store whatever is returned by this function call in a variable c, and then print the value of c, or directly you can printf what you can printf the value of the function call, right? You know this. Okay, so here I'm going to call this function. It will give me the first character of my file. I'm storing that first character in the variable c, and that value of c, it is nothing but the first character I am printing. Now one more thing that you need to keep in mind is how the characters will be read from the file. Okay, it will, the compiler will do it when you execute these functions, but how the compiler will do it? So suppose in your file, the content of the file is capital A, B, C, and D. So how the file will be read? Initially, when you open your file, you have not performed any operation, you have just opened your file. So the cursor, okay, this, when I open this file, where is my cursor right now? Before the letter R, right? I'll show you, I'll zoom in. See, before this R, my cursor is there, right? You can see it blinking over here. I can move it after R, I can move it after A. So this cursor determines the position from where the reading will start. I repeat, this cursor in your file will determine the position at which the operation must be performed. Maybe it is a read operation, maybe it is a write operation. So at the position of the cursor, from there onwards, the operation will be performed. Okay, so initially when I open my file, the cursor is before the first character. My cursor is over here, before A. My cursor is over here. When I access the first character, this cursor will come after A. When I go to access my second character, to access the second character, the cursor will come after the second character. When the cursor comes after C, I can say that C character has also been read. When my cursor comes after D, I can say that D character has also been read. So in total, I have read A, B, C, D. Right? So whenever you want to read any character, what should happen? The cursor should come after that character. Right? Suppose my cursor is before A, I want to read A. Then the cursor should come after A. When the cursor comes after A, I can say that A character has been read. Right? Have you understood how we are reading?
Yes.
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 Yes. So we have to just move this cursor position. Okay. Now, how we will move this cursor position? This will be done automatically for you by the fgetC function. And C means character. So character by character you are going to read. So first time I have executed this function call. So what will happen? I can say that my cursor has come after A. So which character will be stored in the C variable? Yes, anyone? Which character will be stored in C variable?
A.
Very
A.
good, A character. So the value of the variable C, okay, variable C, the value of variable C is character A. And using your %C, I'm going to print the value of character C. Okay, means whatever value is there in this variable C, that will get printed. Now next, again, I execute the same function call. So now what will happen? Cursor is after A. So now cursor has to move again by one step. So where it will go after B. So cursor is after B, I can say that now the character B has been read. So now the value of the variable C is nothing but capital B. And now when I go to print the value of variable C, what will get printed? The character B, which is stored in my file. So this way, one by one character I can access. Okay. So now let us see this particular case one of the switch case. That is reading a character one by one. So the content of my file is Rajgarh is a fort. So let me run this program now. See, there are different options. You have to enter your choice. So first choice we are going to see now. Choice one I have entered. Enter. So first thing that it is printing is file opened successfully. Now why this has got printed, we'll see. See what I've done. Execution starts from main. So I have an infinite loop over here, while loop. Okay, I'm entering my choice using scanf. Then what is happening? My open file function, user defined function I have defined here, no. to check whether the file is opening properly or not. That function I'm calling. Now what that function returns, it will return 0 if operation of opening is failing, but it will return 1 if I'm able to open my file successfully. So what will happen? If it returns 0, I will print out unable to access file. But if I print out, but if it returns 1, else part gets executed, it will print that file opened successfully. Okay. So I have checked whether the file is opened or not. If my file is opening, that means I'm in my else condition, right? File opened successfully means the open file has returned 1. So I've come to my else part. In else part, I have my switch case. And then I've entered the case 1. So case 1 is getting executed. What will happen? It will print the character I read was, and the first character will get printed. Then it will print the character I read was, second character will get printed, right? I'll just show you. Okay, so the character I read was, this is the first time when I called the function, the character I read was R, right? We have stored the string over here, Rajgad is a fort. So first character, what happened? The cursor came before R. So I have read the character R. Now, again, I called the function. So the character I read was A. Why A? Because the cursor came after A. So that I have read A, right? So character by character, you can read this whole sentence. So I hope you understood case 1. Okay. Now case 2. What is case 2? Case 2 means reading all the characters one by one. Okay, reading all the characters one by one. So what I'll do, I have to use a new terminology that is called as end of file. So in this particular file, there are number of characters. And after this full stop, there is a character which is inserted by the compiler in your file. Okay, automatically it is there in your file, that character in every text file. And that character is called as end of file character. So if this character end of file is read, when will the end of file character be read? Suppose I write here for understanding end of file. Okay, so this end of file, whichever this character is there, it is actually a blank space. Okay, means after your full stop, you have a blank space. And that blank space is called as end of file character. So whenever that blank space or whenever that end of file character is read, you have to understand that the content of the file is over. I should stop reading. So this is how you can understand when the content of file is over. In strings, how we can understand whether the string is over? Anyone remembers? Which character is at the end of the string?
Null character.
Yes, very good.
Full.
So using null character, yes. So if the character is not null, you have to keep on reading your string. As soon as it becomes null, stop reading. Same thing with files. If the last character in the file has been reached, which is nothing but the end of file character, you have to stop reading. So that is what I've done here. Firstly, what I'm doing, infinite while loop. Okay, and I'm using break. When I will use break? Whenever the character read is end of file. So how I'll read the characters one by one? Using that f get c function, pass the file pointer to that as a parameter. So whenever this function is executed, the first character, that is R will get read. Then you'll compare R equal to end of file. No. So I will, if condition not satisfied, I will not break. What I will do, I'll come here, I'll print that the character I read is R will get printed. And I also want to simultaneously count the characters, how many are there in the file. So I'm increasing one variable over here, char count. So initially char count is 0. When I read the first character, it will get plus plus post increment. So char count will become 1. Okay. Then it is an while loop. I have to repeat all these statements. I'll again come here. I'll read the next character. Means cursor will come after A. I have read the character A. Is A equal to end of file character? No. So I will print the character I read is A. And then char count will again get incremented. So now the number of characters you have read is 2. Then again same things I have to perform. Now suppose I have to read this end of file character, means full stop has been read, and after that again I have to repeat the while loop. So end of file character I have to read. So now the variable C is holding the end of file character. So I have to compare, is C equal to end of file character? Yes. So I will break. Break means what? I'll come out of the while loop. So I will not be able to print the character, and I will not be able to increment the count of the characters. Okay. Then finally, when I come out of this while loop, what I'm printing? Total number of characters present in the file is char count. Means the number of characters I was incrementing here, right? That final value I'm going to print here. So total number of characters in the file is char count. Okay, this is just any variable name, not necessarily char count, cnt count, anything you can name this variable, simple variable. Okay, this was case 2. How you can read the number of characters one by one until you reach the end of the file. Okay, and this EOF should be written in capital only, uppercase. Okay, have you understood case 2? How you'll read the characters one by one?
Yes.
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 Yes. So now we'll execute this also. So by the end of the reading, what should get printed? Rajgad is a fort and full stop. Okay, end of file character will not get printed because of the logic I've implemented here. Why? If the character is end of file, I'm going to break. I don't have a chance to print the end of file character, right? But suppose this break, instead of putting it here, if I had put it over here, then what would have happened? That end of file character, that blank space, that also would get printed as an extra character. But we don't want that, right? End of file is just to track that whether we have reached the end of file or not. You are not supposed to print it. So that is why I put the break statement before the printing of the character. Okay. So now I'll execute this. So case 1 we have executed. Once more I'll execute. Okay. Now we'll execute case 2. Enter choice 2. What is the choice 2? Reading all the characters one by one. So see here, file opened successfully. I'm going to check each time I'm going to open the file. Okay, means that we'll see later on, but file is opened successfully. So now the first character has been read, that is R. So the character I read is R. I have printed. The next time the character I read is A. J. So Rajgad has been completed. Then after Rajgad there is a space, right? After the space is. After the space is. And then a fort and full stop. Okay, and it is displaying the count of the characters. Yeah, there are 17 characters. It has displayed the correct count. Okay, so if you do, this was what I was doing. After accessing each character, I'm printing the character is. But instead of this, suppose I just want to print the this thing without this. So what will get printed? Only the character will get printed one by one. And I don't want this backslash n also. So what will get printed? All the characters will get printed one by one. So what will be the output? Rajgad is a fort. Again and again, it will not print the character I read is the character I read is, right? That is just for understanding I had done it. So now let me run this again. Just a minute. Yeah. So it is printed here. See, Rajgad is a fort. Okay. So it has not printed separate lines. It has not used to print. It has printed in a single line. Rajgad is a fort. So now the next way of accessing is using the fgets function, built-in function. Now what is case number 3? Let us see. Case number 3 is reading all the
Excuse
characters.
me.
Yes.
What if we write in the string, if we write Rajgad space backslash n space is, so how will it print backslash n between the two words in a string?
So it will go on the next line because you're reading each character, right? So let us execute and see that also if you want. So Rajgad backslash n is a fort. Okay. Let's see what happens. So and always remember, if you make any change in your file, save it. Okay. Otherwise it will not be reflected in your program. Uh, why is this dot end of? Okay, 1 minute. It is not going on the next line. Okay. So it is not accepting it as an actual string. Okay. It will print the backslash n also.
Okay.
Yeah, it is happening like this. I think in C++ it is a bit different. Okay, anyways, for it is happening like this. Okay, it will print the backslash and also it will not go on the next line. Okay, and since this
Okay.
end of file was there, that also got printed. Okay, so now this is the actual content, and I will save it. Okay, so now I had saved it, and again I selected choice number 2. So what happened? Again, it read Rajgad is a fort. Okay, means this whatever changes were there, I saved my file, so that content got saved and that was getting updated. Now, for example, again I make some change. Rajgad is a fort on a hill, suppose, and I will save this file by clicking Control S or File Save. Okay, And now if I execute the program without recompiling, then what it is printing? The updated one. Rajgad is a 4. Means each time it will access the file, and whatever is in the file it will print. Okay. And now the next case of reading. That is reading all the characters together as a string, not one by one. In one shot, you can read the total content of your file. That is using another built-in function fgetS. So we have seen fgetC, right? FgetC means what? FgetC. FgetC means fgetC means file read character, and fget S means same thing, file read, but this time not character, file read string. Okay, because the content in your file is nothing but a string sequence of characters. So you will read strings from your file and not characters. So the syntax is pass the name of the string, okay, in which you want to store the string. So what I mean to say is, suppose you will read this content, then you have to store this content somewhere in your program, right? The characters how you are reading, as soon as you read a particular character, you stored it in a character type of variable, and then you printed the value of that character variable, right? So similarly, when you read a string from your file, you have to store that string in your program in a string variable, right? So I've declared my string over here, char string, and its maximum size are kept as 10. So you can read strings of length which is less than or equal to 10. In suppose the string length is 5, you can read it in this string. You can store it in this string. Suppose the string length is 9, then you can store it in this string. But suppose the string length is 20, you will not be able to store it in this string variable. Okay. So you can count the number of characters in your file, and that count can be the size of your string. Okay, that also we are going to do. Now, I'm going to read the first 2 characters from my file. For that, you have to write the number 3 over here, okay, as the second parameter to this function. Means how this works, whenever you write in your fgetS function, first parameter is the name of the string, str. Second parameter is a number, suppose 3. That means you will be able to read 2 characters from your file. Why? Because the string is what? Last character is null, that is \0. Okay. And before that, you can read 2 characters, A and B, suppose. So total 3 characters. So whatever parameter you pass over here, that should be +1 the number of characters you are going to read. So here, if I'm writing 3, that means I will be able to read 2 characters RA from my file. Suppose I want to read 5 characters from my file, then instead of 3, I should write what? Anyone? I should write 6, right? If I write 6 here, yeah, one character will be for null, and the remaining 5 characters are what I will be able to read, right? If I write 6, what I'll be able to read? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will be able to read RAJGA. Okay. Suppose I want to read Rajgad, 6 characters I want to read from my file. So instead of 6 over here, I should write the number 7, right? So that the last character is 1 character and the remaining 6 characters I can read. So that is what I've done here. If I write 3 over here, I will be able to read first 2 characters. If I write 5 over here, I can read next 2 characters. Am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible.
Hello?
Yes, you are audible.
Just a minute. I'm audible, right? Okay. There was
Yes.
just, yeah.
Yeah.
So now, initially I have to read first two characters, right? I'm reading first two characters by passing this 3 over here. So cursor will come here. I have read R. Then cursor will come here. I have read A. Okay. Now you will continue from the current position of the cursor. Where is the current position of the cursor after A? Here is my current position of my cursor. So when I go to read the next four characters, how the cursor position will change? It will first come after J. I have read J. Then the cursor will come over here. I have read G. The next character I have read A. And then finally it will come after D. I have read D. Okay. So you have to continue from the current position of the cursor. First two characters I have read, and then next four characters I have read. Okay. So that is what I have done here. So let me execute this also. So first two characters read are RA. Okay. I have passed the parameter here as 3. So RA null character. Those are the three characters I have stored in my string. The next four characters which I have stored are JGAD, which I showed you here, right? JGAD are the next four characters which I have read. And the last after that is null. Okay, so I have successfully read first the two characters and then from the latest position of the cursor, the next four characters. Okay, now if you want to read the entire content of your file, what you have to do? Character count plus 1. We have computed the value of the count of characters in my file, right? Using the case number 2. I have counted the number of characters as I was reading the characters one by one. Now, that same character count plus 1 I have to do, right? Because how many characters I have counted? I have counted all the characters, but I have failed to count the end of file character because from there I broke immediately. I did not increment count. So what I have done, I have counted this whole thing. Rajgarh is a fort on a hill up to the full stop I have counted. I have not counted end of file. Okay. So the content that wants to get stored in my string, this str, in that what content I want to store? Rajgarh is a fort full in on a hill full stop. Till the full stop, including full stop, I want to store. And after that, one more character in the string will be null character. So the total number of characters which I have counted is stored in char count plus 1 for null character. Okay, have you understood why I have passed this way?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Anyone wants me to repeat? Total characters are what? Whatever is stored in your file up to the full stop. Okay, total characters is what? Including the full stop, this whole thing I have counted. It is 17 characters. But plus 1 for the last null character which needs to get stored in my string. In my str, what I have to do? I have to store this whole sentence and then after that null. So this whole sentence ka count is what? Char count plus 1 to accommodate null. Okay. So this was method 1 to read the complete content of the file. And you have to simply print using %s the value of your string. Okay, so you should close your console windows if too many are open, otherwise it gives you such error. And now I will compile and run. So, and it is important to first execute the case number 2 to read all the characters. Why it is important to execute case number 2 first? According to my logic, in case number 2, I am computing the total number of characters. Then only char count will be non-zero value. And then I have to access that same char count in my case number 4. So first execute case number 2 so that char count is a non-zero count, and then execute your case number 4. Right? So now total number of characters is 28. Okay, because on a hill that's also I've added from 17 it has changed to 28. And now choice is number 4. So choice number 4 is what? Sorry, choice number 3. 3 is the case. Sorry, I need to execute case number 3. Okay, so by method 1, the content of the file is Rajgarh is a fort on a hill. Up to the full stop, you got the whole thing. Okay, so have you understood method number 1? How to read the complete content of the file, count the number of characters, and store it in a string. Or the case number 2, which we had seen, right? While you don't reach end of file, you have to keep on accessing character by character. Okay, so these are the two methods. Character by character, you can read the complete content, or You can read the complete content in one shot and store it in a string. Have you understood these methods?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, the other method to read the complete content will give you a problem. That is why we don't prefer it. The problem is same like your scanf. See, there is what we have seen till now, f get c function and f get s function. There is another function f scanf. It is the file version of your scanf function. Scanf is used to what? To read something from the output window. Similarly, fscanf is used to read something from your file. Okay, and the syntax over here is again a little different. You have to pass the file pointer name, then you have to write %s within double quote, and then the name of the string in which you will store the content of the file. But the problem is it will read only the first word. If you get a space over here, it will not read the space and it will not read is a fort on a hill. It will read only till the first word, and if it gets the first space, it will stop reading. It considers space as end of file. Okay, so it will read Rajgarh, only the first word that is before the space it will read. Similarly, if you have a \n over here, or yeah, one more thing, if you want to write it as, if you want to insert this is a fort on a hill, you don't have to write \n over here. What you have to do, you have to simply write it on the next line. Okay, you have to not give \n in your file. Over here, no need to give \n. If you want to write it on the next line, press enter, it will go on the next line. So this is a, automatically it will consider it as a new line character, \n, automatically it will be considered over here. That is why it was considering \n as a character itself, not as a new line character, and it was printing it. Okay, so if it is on a new line, or if there is a space somewhere, then it will not read further. So if is the fort on a hill is on a new line, then it will only read Rajgarh and it will stop reading. Right. So that is what had happened here. So here by method 2, what happened? It read only Rajgarh. Okay, so we don't use usually fscanf function. If there is a single word in your file, it is okay to use fscanf. Otherwise, you have to prefer fgetS function. Similar thing we have seen with the strings, right? Whenever we use scanf, and if we entered a string over here, like Rajgarh is a fort, then what used to happen if we use scanf to read the multi-word string? As soon as it got a space, it did not read further. So we use the gets function for strings. Similarly here, fscanf will read only the first word. So to read the complete multi-word string, what in the file, what you have to do, you have to use fgetS. Okay, so have you understood all these methods of reading? These are all the possible ways in which you can read the content of the file. Have you understood?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So now
Yes.
if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, put your attendance in the chat box. We can stop for now. Any doubts? Next time we'll see how we can read the content of, how we can write some content to the file. Today we saw how to read the content of a file. Next time we'll see how to write the content to the file. Put your attendance quickly, and any doubts you can ask me. Okay, if you have put your attendance, you can leave this meeting. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.